this is Ziggy Heim, and you are listening to Wrestling Cheers.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to go where you can see that troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name. You want to go where you can see that troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name.
And welcome back to Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name, especially when your name is Brandon Bruce. This is Wrestling Cheers. We like to talk about things in North and East Ohio independent wrestling scene. We preview shows, we review shows, and sometimes we even have interviews along the way. This is a very special preview episode for upcoming Mega Championship Wrestling this Saturday. It is Crown Prince, a night for Brandon Bruce, and it is at the St. John's Gym in Elyria, Ohio. I am your host. I am Justin Summers, and Wrestling Cheers is brought to you by the Trending Topics Network and Midwest Territory. Please rate, review, and subscribe your ever listen to this fine podcast, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Podbean, WrestlingCheers.podbean.com. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Facebook.com/WrestlingCheers, Twitter.com/WrestlingCheers, and Instagram.com/WrestlingCheers. Email, if you so choose to desire, WrestlingCheers@gmail.com. And we have the merch store over at whatmaneuver.net. Like I said, this is a special preview for Mega Championship Wrestling, Crown Prince, a night for Brandon Bruce. And we normally don't really talk about Mega. No offense to Mega. Pretty much it's just mostly AIW for this podcast. But it's a very special reason. And I actually bumped what's going to be next week's episode for this because when just the idea that this show was going to potentially happen, I was all over on going, and when the opportunity came to preview this episode, give this show, I was all for it. So on the line with me tonight, we have Jeff Traxler.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or whenever you're listening.
How's it going?
Good, Justin. How are you?
I'm doing good, and like I said, I'm honored to have you on. I've been wanting to. I'm looking forward to going to this show.
Good to hear.
So we have like people from not necessarily from the local area. Do you want to get into the reason of this show and who Brandon Bruce was?
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, the name of the show is Crown Prince, a night for Brandon Bruce. And for those that don't know, Brandon is the son of Brandon Xavier, who has been a wrestler in this area for, I believe, 16 or 17 years. One of the big pillars of Mega. Unfortunately, little Brandon lost his life early in December. He was 17, so young man coming up, and we want to just show our support to Xavier and his family, and so what we wanted to do was take one of our events, and it's a night for Brandon. All proceeds from the event are going to go toward the family for all of their expenses. We're lucky we're going to have some of Brandon's favorite wrestlers there. When we reached out to the wrestling community and said, "Hey, we're gonna do this," the response was just overwhelming. Of people saying, "What can I do to help? What do you need?" So we got a hell of a card put together for that, and like I told you before we went on the air, this isn't like a sad event. We want everybody to come and celebrate Brandon's life with us, and have a good time, and we're going to do it the only way we know how, which is professional wrestling.
Yeah, this is a very, very interesting card with, two really big names coming in. We got Chase Owens, and we have from Ring of Honor, Shane Taylor.
Yes, sir. And two guys that have always been really, really good to us. And in fact, two of the first people to reach out and say, hey, if you're doing anything, let us know. So, Shane came up through this area. We were glad to have him in Mega before he moved to Texas and got his shot with Ring of Honor. And he's coming to give back a little bit. And Chase is a little different. We met Chase after he was already part of New Japan, and he's done several shows for us. Lots of attempted bookings of Chase, but unfortunately, Japan has a heavier calling than we do. So, it's not as many as either of us would like, but Chase is going to be there as well, and both in some pretty great matches, I think.
Chase Owens versus Jocelyn Navarro versus Cisco Silver. This is, to me, really interesting. I've watched, kind of a little bit from the outside of someone like Jocelyn and someone like Cisco scratch and claw within the area. And I think that, like, them in a triple threat match against Chase Owens, that's going to be a good one.
I think so, too. Sure, this is a big opportunity for both of them. And, we know that Chase isn't, even though he's coming to help us out, he's not coming for a loss. So
no. What can you say to some of the listeners that don't know that much about Jocelyn or Cisco? Because I figure there's a lot of people, maybe from outside of the area, they're going to know a lot of AIW names, but like these two, like if you're not from the area, because I know they've been in like a good amount of like other companies and all that kind of stuff. And like, what can you describe like these two wrestlers to people?
I would say, what, they're both very similar, probably more similar than they realize, because when either one of them are in the ring, that you can tell that they're having fun. I know Cisco likes to call himself the jackass of professional wrestling, which is pretty well true. But they both they both kind of put that vibe out. Even though they're trying to compete, they're also having a good time. And I think that translates to the audience. And I think that's why like they're getting their names out there, because people want to see them, because they want to have that good feeling.
Mm-hmm. I could see that with the both of them. They're even just saying how much alike they are. It like I laughed immediately, because I think it is so true, because I get the same kind of vibe from both of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As far as what I've seen, because with some of the match announcements, where's Shane Taylor on the card?
Shane is going to be fighting Paxton Calloway.
Oh, that's right. I just looked right at that. Maybe I'm used to seeing Paxton too. I think he's a dude that is like a very tall me. So like I like that dude as far as what I've seen. But why did I look over that?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to look over him. He's 7 foot tall, man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Oh God, that is going to be a good one. Between Paxton and Shane, and I've Paxton, as far as I understand, did have a WWE tryout. What was it? Not that long, like mid last year, and I think he's a guy who's really starting to get his name out there little by little. But with this being his home, and like him versus Shane is going to be a moment for, much like Jocelyn and Cisco, is like this is going to be his time to make a mark.
Right, absolutely. I mean, you've got the immovable force and the irresistible object, coming together, and that, and I know that that Shane is one of the guys that Paxton has kind of watched to develop his style, because they're both big solid guys. And you can see a lot of that in him, but he's ready to prove himself.
Yeah, totally agree. Another one that I somewhat looked over is Jackson Stone versus Mark Alejandro, and Mark Alejandro is another dude that I've seen pop up here and there. Like how long has he been wrestling? Not very long, right?
No, not very long at all. Maybe little over a year. He took some time off here and there, but I would say probably solid for about a year. He's a handful.
Yeah, as far as I see him, he's going to have a handful against Jackson Stone.
Oh, for sure.
Jackson Stone's like another dude that I'm always amazed of how far I've seen him travel. Like, he does obviously a lot of Michigan and Ohio, but then I think at one time I seen he was in Hawaii, and like another time I seen other places, and I'm just like, wow, this dude's really getting out there.
Right, and you're exactly right, and that's what he's trying to do, get out anywhere and everywhere that he can.
And he's like this fun, underrated dude that I wish more people knew about, and I think given the right moment, the right opportunity, he could go far. Absolutely, man. He's got all the elements. Kind of on a little bit of a transition from Jackson Stone, freaking Big Mo. I love Big Mo when I get a chance to see him. And this match that he's in is really interesting. Big Mo versus Megan Myers versus Super Beef versus a mystery opponent. I'm a fan of any mystery opponent because the possibilities who it could be is always fun and all that. Like, we won't exactly go into who that is, but Megan is somebody too that I've seen pop up here and there, and she seems somewhat local. I think I've maybe followed her maybe close to a year.
Yeah, she's another one who's just traveling anywhere and everywhere, trying to get her name out and trying to get eyes on her. So this would be a huge opportunity for her.
And she's someone who has a very much love for horror movies, and seeing it come out and with her persona and everything it is not as normal as I think when I see other people do it. That's one thing that I really like about her.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely she's definitely different.
Yes,
for sure.
Just happened to see in her match over the weekend, and I was really like noticing a lot more of like the horror vibe, and it's I'm granted it's always there, but it's, if I compare it to other people, like let's throw out someone who's been through this area like Crazy Mary Dobson, it's not, they both went a different way with it, so I don't look at Megan as like someone like, oh, you're just copying something. Like, no, you kind of have your own twist to it, and no, people don't really take it that way.
Right, absolutely.
So always forgive me because it's hard to follow Mega from the outside. Who is the Fighting Spirit champion? Because that match, Fatal 4-Way, is the number one contender match for the Fighting Spirit Championship.
Right now, the Fighting Spirit champion is Nick Nero.
That name sounds familiar, but I'm blanking on it.
Kind of tall guy, megaphone, very annoying.
I think I got it. What about this tag match? Hannah Lightning and Sean Blaze versus Alex Gates and Ashton Day. I know nothing about Gates and Day, but obviously, being around long as I have, I know Hannah and I know Sean Blaze.
I mean, do you want to talk to Blaze about that? He's right here, smiling that evil smile.
Sure. Have him come on. Let me hear what he's got to say about his match.
What is there to say? I mean, Hannah Lightning, her father taught me a lot of things. You'll see a lot of those come out the 25th. I mean, you just got to go and watch and see what happens.
What about what do you have to say about Gates and Day, your opponents?
What do I say about those two? I mean, here's the thing. I've known Hannah for a very, very long time. I can trust Hannah. Can those two trust each other? I mean, we just did a ladder match, and didn't Ashton push Gates through a table, if I'm not mistaken? So, I mean, it goes back to trust. Can they trust each other? I mean, you have to go and see.
I will definitely be there, and I really hope more people can come out and see it too.
Absolutely. I mean, tickets are definitely on sale, but they are moving quickly, so I got a few more days for those.
MegaChampionshipWrestling.com. Should have mentioned that earlier. Doors open at 6 p.m. Crown Prince, St. John's Gym. Is there any other matches that you want to talk about?
Let's see what else what else can we talk about here? Yeah, I'll tell you one that I'm looking forward to. Is Cree Fudo versus Jude McKenzie. And, you know, Cree is starting to come into his own. Another person that, when we talked about putting this together, that was one of the first people to volunteer was Jude McKenzie. And, for those that aren't familiar, and maybe some of that are, Jude hasn't been, in Mega for probably about 12 or 13 years. He wrestled for us for quite a while and then decided to move to Florida. Has been making quite a name for himself down there, making a few friends. In fact, just to give you an idea, Mick Foley was a guest at his wedding not too long back. So, but he's coming back up for this event, and I think that it'll be interesting to see these two meet up.
That's kind of cool that someone who's been away for so long is coming back for this show, being 12 years. That's longer even before I was even a independent wrestling fan.
Right. And you know, and then as I said, even if you have some fans that have been following us for a while, they may not remember Jude. It may have been before they started coming to events. So I think you know, it'll be something cool for them to see.
And the one thing that I want to definitely get into, because I mean, it's going to be the day before it, for the Royal Rumble. There's going to be a Battle Royal, not necessarily the same thing, but still no announcements of exactly who's going to be in it, whether it's going to be anybody who's not in a match or whatnot. To me, that's kind of a selling point. I love matches like that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that was kind of out of necessity. Again, not to go back to this point again, but so many people that said, you know, how can we be part of this event? You know, you can only have so many matches on the card, you know. So that was one of the things where we said, well, let's just take these folks, and if we don't have something specific for them, let's put them all together and let them fight each other. So, and I can tell you in that you'll see some familiar faces, some old faces, some new faces. It's going to be kind of a mix of everything.
That's going to be kind of like really cool, of having just kind of like that mixed match, and anything like when it's at a show like this, you know, people just wanting to be a part of it, I think is so awesome to see.
Right. And I have to tell everybody on that end and all the fans and everyone too that, you know, we really appreciate all the support that, you know, you've given Brandon and his family while they're dealing with this. You know, it's been just overwhelming, you know, the amount of people that have, you know, even if it was just you know, a message on Facebook, you know, just any everybody that reached out, you know, it's just amazing, you know, and I know you understand this, like the family that wrestlers and wrestling fans and everybody associated with that become, you know, because you see these people all the time. Sometimes we see these people more than our own family, you know, and that's the family vibe that we get, you know, and we're really feeling and really appreciate that.
Like, even with me, I've only ever been able to make it to one mega show before this. I still knew who Brandon Xavier, the wrestler, was. And when I heard about like what happened, immediately, I felt for him, and I wanted to be there because I know like how we are as a family. I don't know him personally, but it's like you've been around this way longer than me. You are part of the family. You're a distant maybe relative to me, but you're still a relative. And I actually made a comment to my fiance after everything happened. I was like, if they have a show for this, I'm going. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm going. Mm-hmm. And soon as it was announced, I was like, perfect. Like, I'm so happy, and it's something that I really hope a lot of people who can come out like show support, because, like you said, we don't want to make this to be a sad affair. This also is it is a family between even fans and wrestlers, and we were all hit, but we still have to go forward and a perfect tribute with wrestling. And I think that's something that we've seen in this community before, like even going back with JT Lighting, which was literally right before I became a fan, and seeing like the kind of show that was put on in his memory. And it's like it doesn't even matter, you know, Brandon, the person wasn't a wrestler, but it was still, he was still part of the family, and that's just, I love seeing it.
For sure, man. It does your heart good, you know?
Yeah. Are there any other matches? Because like I said, like I don't want to give any disrespect to Mega, because I don't always get a chance to go out. It's a good hour away from me, but there's a lot of people on this card that I don't really know that much about. Like I do know, because there is one match that I did kind of know people behind, the tag team title match, Crumbles and LaForge versus LSD.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually a match that we've been wanting to put together for a while, and it wasn't in the cards, but it did work out for this one. So this will be actually Crumbles and LaForge debut in Mega.
Okay.
But they've I want to say that they have met up before with at least half of the LSDs in other promotions, but it'll be the first time you'll see them as tag teams against each other.
Yeah, Crumbles and LaForge, I should say, guys that I've seen elsewhere, and they seem to be kind of getting out there here and there. And yeah, I kind of figured, I didn't think I had ever seen that they were in Mega until this show. So that's really cool for a debut.
No, you're right on about that. This will definitely be their debut.
Any other matches or things to note about the show?
You know, you can hit up the Instagram or the Twitter to check out the full list of matches and some of the promos for the show. We're at Mega Wrestling for both of those. You know, we're gonna try to put together some good raffles that night. That'll be going toward the family as well. So come and bring a couple extra dollars for that. But you know, you can check out the full card on all the social media. But I'm pretty proud of this card.
Yeah, it's a great show. I mean, in between you have, like, you know, some of the younger talent, you have some veteran talent, you got people coming back, and then you have like two names that have like established themselves. Like it's so awesome to see just people come together for such a good cause and for such a good reason.
Yep, for sure.
And I know there are promos. I know they're on the Facebook. Because I see a lot of them. Yeah, I see a lot of them posted. Quick question, since I have you out here. I've had this question, conversation with people. Now, is it Mega Wrestling or Mega Championship Wrestling?
Well, technically it's both.
I knew it.
Just over the years, we've just kind of shortened it to Mega Wrestling. Because, you know, the whole Mega Championship Wrestling is kind of a mouthful.
Yeah.
But officially, technically, it's Mega Championship Wrestling. But you know, we're fine with just Mega Wrestling.
Okay. Because, like, I think that's something like me and Caden have talked about before, like, privately. Like, which is it? Because I think I always knew it as Mega Championship Wrestling.
Right.
And then at some point there was that switch where, like, that went away, but, like, the Facebook page is, like, one, for example, still says Mega Championship Wrestling. So it's...
Right.
I just thought about it. I'm like, wait a minute, I have them on here. I have to know which is it. So it is both. It doesn't matter what you say. I do... As much as, like, the old school 3 names, 3 words in the name, I do think Mega Wrestling, it's like you said, the Mega Championship Wrestling is a bit of a mouthful, but Mega Wrestling, right, it's nice and to the point.
Yeah, it's just better for branding all around. I mean, nothing complicated, you know.
Yeah. Any final thoughts or last minute plugs before we go?
Let's see. Well, I definitely, you know, we want everyone to come out on the 25th. Also, if you are interested in being a professional wrestler, we do have free open tryouts coming up on February 6th, which if you want to get in on that, you can shoot us an email, megachampionshipwrestling@gmail.com. Just come out and support us, support indie wrestling, support good indie wrestling.
Yes.
Wherever you're at. And, and there's so much stuff, that you can catch streaming or you can catch on YouTube or whatever. That's really good wrestling. That's out of our little bubble here.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely check that out too. And it helps all of us in the long run.
And if you go to MegaChampionshipWrestling.com, you can get not only tickets for the show, but even like I saw on there, because you mentioned about like when to become a wrestler, like even information about that is on the website. And I kind of liked how it was laid out. Like, do you want to go to a show? Do you want to become a wrestler? And all that. So, Crown Prince, a night for Brandon Bruce at the St. John's Gym in Elyria, Ohio. Front row tickets are $15, but $20 a day of the show. General admission is $10, but $15 day of the show. I'll throw it out one last time. Just, this is an awesome show, and I really do recommend everybody to check it out. And wrapping the show up like we always do, my social media, for those who don't know, Heavyset330 or just Heavyset330, much like you can find this show at Wrestling Cheers. Facebook.com/Wrestling Cheers, Twitter.com/Wrestling Cheers, and Instagram.com/Wrestling Cheers. Email, if you so choose to desire, WrestlingCheers@gmail.com, and we have the merch store over at whatamaneuver.net. One more time, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to this fine podcast, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Podbean, WrestlingCheers.podbean.com. Check out our friends on the Trending Topics Network, such as All Beer Inside, Eurovision Showcase, and Wrestling with Altitude. Check out our other podcast friends, such as Let the Hate Flow Through You, Pod Van Dam, Super Fantastic Podcast, Road Home from Wrestling, Haunted Home Video, The IndieCast, Center of the Universe, Sobros Network, Big Gold Bell Podcast, The Co-Host Wrestling Show, Spotlight Series, I Got Your 5 Stars, Not Ready for Primetime Wrestling, At Odds with Wrestling, and It's Evolution Baby. Check out our other non-podcasting friends, such as Thrift Store Jobber, The Savage Dash, Mouse's Wrestling Adventure, Sickening Pictures, Good Company, Stay Tough, Smokin' Jay's Barbecue, Wrestle Void, Midwest Territory, Southern Underground Pro, and the official graphic designer of Wrestling Cheers, and of Mega Championship Wrestling, or Mega Wrestling, Moy Boy Designs. That will do it for us here on Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name, and at the end of the day, we are one big family. Later.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Would you like to get away? Sometimes you want